Okay, so keep the weaving wire out of the way. And now we're going to start getting ready to work on the bail. The stone is only set on 3 sides, so it's still a little bit wobbly. Because we've got 3 prongs, the top is actually set by a tension setting, which comes from the bail. The bail and the wire set, and they press down on the top of the stone, which makes it nice and secure. So we're going to start to make that bail. So pull these 2 side wires out of the way. Rest your pliers on top of the cabochon and press the 2 18-gauge wires together, like so. So when you look at it on the back, it's forming a nice triangle. And make sure it's nice and straight. See how I'm straightening mine? Press again, back side facing up. That's looking much better. Like so. Okay. Now, for the dimensions of making our bail, of course, whatever length we do it, when we fold it in half, the bail will be half the size. So I'd like you to measure down and mark right where it starts. That'll be the first mark. Then a 1/2 inch and then 1 inch. And make sure to measure and mark on both wires. There's my 1/2 inch mark and my 1 inch mark. Just make sure when you push them together, they're at the same spot. Okay. That middle mark will really matter that they're lined up, because that's the side that will come out here and then fold in half. You want to make sure those are nice and level. So you will start by bending this, the first mark, to a 45-degree angle on both sides. The center mark, same thing, 45-degree angle towards the center this time. And the last mark will go just straight ahead, like so. And if you put them together and squish, it sometimes helps. Now see how we've got a very wide bail happening right now? You can have your bail as wide as you want, but because we're going for a very linear pendant, I kind of really want these to be a very kind of skinny, I want this to be a very skinny bail. So the distance between these 2 marks, I want it to be only 4 millimeters. And to achieve that, you of course have to go back and forth, no different than when you're making a prong, and futz with it. Okay, get nice sharp corners in there on both sides. And then start to pull it, or squeeze it closed. And go back and forth, making those nice straight corners. Now, this is a great time to work harden. Work harden makes the wire nice and stiff, especially when doing a figure-8 weave, which is what we're going to do on this bail. It's good to have a nice stiff wire. It helps the bail not collapse in on itself as you're weaving it, especially if you're new to a figure-8 weave or you've always had a bit of a problem with it. A good tip is to always work harden wherever you're going to figure-8. Okay, and you can work harden by running your fingers up and down the wires. You can hammer it a little bit. Everything to make it stiffer. So there is my bail. I'm just going to go in here with a ruler. I'm looking for about 4 millimeters in between these 2 wires, right where it's going to fold in half. That's about where I'm at. Okay. So now we're going to take that 28 gauge wire we had that was still attached, and we're going to do a double figure-8 in between these 2. A double figure-8 means that there'll be 2 stitches on each side with the line in between. So you'll do 1 complete wrap. On the second wrap, you go to the other side. So it looks like 2 stitches. That gives a nice dense weave. Okay, so we start and we do 1 and bring that weaving wire back up and do 1 wrap around. So there's your full wrap. Then on your second one, I want you to go over or under. It depends which way you start your weave. to the other side, wrap one full one. And now that's started for your second one to go to the other side. And this one is so important that you push your work down, because if you keep going up and you're only weaving this far apart and then you push your work down, you'll really misshapen everything. So do 2 or 3 sets and then push your work together, and keep checking to make sure that your frame is the size you want it to be. So I'm just going to finish off my bail. So here we go, I've got my finished bail. Okay, all the weaving is done nice and secure. I still have a tail from that 28 gauge wire. Keep it attached because we're still not quite finished with it yet. So we're going to set this aside and move on to part 3, building the kite frame.